Every person has a journey, a reason for being who they are. Have you ever looked at someone and wondered, who really is this person? How did they get here? What's their story? Well, that's why this podcast was created, to listen to other people's life stories. Welcome to the My Story podcast. I'm your host, Ari. Well, welcome back to the My Story podcast. This is our second episode, but for our viewers in YouTube, this is our first episode as a video. So welcome back once again. I'm your host, Ari. We're very excited to be here. Today, I'm very excited for this episode because I have a very special person here. I consider him a friend. And even though we have not known each other that long, he's very special to me. So without further ado, welcome, Wesley.
Thank you for having me. You're going to make me cry for the first moment.
Just first couple of seconds already crying.
That's true.
We're very emotional today, but it's been a long journey. And before we get in depth of who you are and what are we talking about, I want you to present yourself. Who are you? What's your name? Where you come from?
Thank you, Ari. I'm so happy to be here. So I'm Wesley Perez Vidal. I'm a Puerto Rican. I live in the west side of Puerto Rico. In my hometown is Aguadilla. That's like a beach side. So that's where I come from. I'm a visiting student here in SEMO. And as you know, we are the first student selected for a new bilingual journalism program.
Yes.
So we are happy, and I'm super happy that we have this opportunity to be pioneer in this program, but at the same time to represent our people.
Yes. So for those who do not know, in Puerto Rico, I'm Puerto Rican, so we have two last names. So your two last names are Pérez Vidal, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's amazing because last episode we had Lana, and she has 5 last names. So it was really interesting to learn because in their case, they take on their last father's first name, and when they have kids, they still carry that last name. So she has her father's, her grandfather's, her grandfather's grandfather, and so on. Something like that. If not, we can review the last episode.
That would be good.
But yeah, that was very interesting. In our case, it's not like that, right?
Well, that's true. We just only use our father and then our mother last name. But in this multicultural process that I have been traveling and doing internship and programs, I know some Hispanic people that they use for the grandfather, grandfather, the grandmother, and mother. So that's something really interesting because you will see the name Wesley Perez Vidal, and it's a little bit long, but you know, it needs to be respected. And also I'm surprised and happy about that because they include the grandfathers.
Yeah, and something I was mentioning is that it's beautiful because we get to carry our stories within our name. So that's something that it's beautiful that even generations past, the name is the same. And that's something that in the U.S. it's very big, because when a woman marries a man in the U.S., she takes her last name and becomes this family. Like any last name, it's that family in particular. So I don't know, names are amazing. They tell a lot of their stories. So I just wanted to start off with that.
Yeah, and also I want to add something about it. I read a book. And those last names, they came from because, you know, in the civilization, there were many Juan, many Ari, many Wesley.
Yes.
So they needed to, you know, to specify who is who. And they do the last name. So, for example, in Spanish, could be Del Valle, from the mountain. And they start identify those people.
Separate them by families.
Who they are, where they work, or where they live. So that would be cool, you know, to the people who are hearing us to see where their last name come from.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's very interesting. Every person's last name has so much story to it, and I love hearing about it. So thank you for sharing that. That was very interesting to know. I did not know that, so that's cool. So we have you here today. As we mentioned, you're from Puerto Rico. We're both from Puerto Rico. We share a similar story from these few weeks here. We're from a program that Puerto Rican students come over to CMO to do an internship with KFVS, and we got all that stuff, right? But I want to know more about you a little bit. Like, who is Wesley? What's your dreams? What are you studying? What are you doing here in CMO?
So this day we were doing this reflection in the morning.
Yeah.
But when someone is asking who I am, I remember where I come from. I remember like 10 years ago, I was sitting in the furniture of my grandfather, seeing the TV, and being happy and with great illusion about
Mm.
seeing what I was seeing. The program, the people, the happiness. So that was an emotion, but I didn't know as a kid that I wanted to do that in the future. So being the first generation to pursue academic degree and at the same time a career in media, um, I didn't have that role, but I had the support.
Okay.
So looking back and seeing the support of my family, my mentors, the advices that I had, that made me the person who I am today. So I'm really grateful about that, and I'm really happy.
Yeah, I was listening to you this morning when you had another interview, and you kind of said the same thing. That's actually a beautiful story that you're so fond of your career because it's tied to such an amazing memory when you were a kid. So, what, being a first generation, as you said, to pursue academic degree, what are some of the struggles you encountered, or what's some of the achievements? But well, you have a lot of achievements.
As
as,
you too, my love.
but as we looked you up, before the episode, you have a lot of achievements. So start with that. Like, what's the first thing, first achievement you have had towards this career?
Something I really carry on, no matter the opportunity that I could be, is to be humble. For us, the
Mm-hmm.
Latino people, we say
Yeah.
ser humilde.
Yes.
So for us, that's so important, and for me, it's a way to be grateful for what the things that I have achieved, but because of people who are supporting me. So something that really changed my career is when I became the youngest Zumba instructor of Puerto Rico.
Okay.
Yes,
Talk
when I
about what's Zumba for those who don't
yeah,
know.
Zumba is like an recreative activity. It's a group activity that you could do in the gym, in a camp, or outside.
Mm-hmm.
And you dance, but at the same time that you are dancing, you are doing your warm up, some genres of music like reggaeton, Brazilian funk, salsa,
Mm-hmm.
and other ones. You have the opportunity, to do exercise, to have fun. So that's a little bit about Zumba. But looking back, I was a shy person. I didn't like to dance.
Mm.
But my grandmother, as I say to her, Alela, she always do Zumba as a participant. So she was an inspiration for me to, after our Hurricane Maria, I
Yeah.
started
Hurricane
doing
Maria.
Zumba. And then, I started doing the Zumba. I went to a Zumba tour in Puerto Rico
Oh, really?
with Tony Costa, that, as you know, he's like a well-known person in
Mm-hmm.
the industry. And I was happy that they put me part of the Zumba tour, but I was getting the idea, to be with them and that kind of stuff. So then I became the youngest Zumba instructor certified. So it has been 5 years, getting to know myself and getting the people to love me and accept me as I am.
Hmm.
So being a teen in a competitive world, but I don't say that, like competitive. I say that because you are trying to get to know yourself. So that's so
Yeah.
important. So the Zumba girls, as I love to say to them, they are
Yeah.
my aunties, my grandma. They help me to become the young professional that I am today.
Wow, that's a really amazing story. And I think it's the second time you mentioned your grandparents as a big part of your story. Can you talk a bit about them?
Yes. Dios mío, you're gonna make
If
me
you get
cry.
sentimental, it's
No, I
fine.
yes. In my case, my father and my mother get divorced when I was in elementary,
Mm-hmm.
so that's okay, and they always have been present.
Yeah.
But of course, as a kid, that had a great impact in me. But the mother of my mother, my
Your
grandmother,
grandmother.
she took care of me since I was in kinder
Oh.
until senior year of high school
Oh,
and
wow.
today. Like she always bring me to the school, take me to the school, do me food, put me to bed, or
Yeah.
say like, hey, you need to take a shower. Like
Yeah, she took
everything.
care of you.
Yes, like a mother. My mother was always there, but
Yeah.
Yeah, my mother knows. Alela is my second mother, and
Yeah,
she always write me. So they are so so special. They in between feeling the divorce of my father, they didn't let me to feel alone. You
that's
know,
so
so that's
beautiful.
something that I always grateful about.
That is so beautiful because sadly, there's a lot of families that go through parents being divorced, and kids do feel alone in a lot of those circumstances. So, for your grandmother and your mother to actually put you under their wings so you cannot feel alone and help you in the amazing human being you are and
Oh,
becoming,
I love you.
that
Thank
is
you.
so
You too.
that is so beautiful. So, thank you for sharing that. So we're talking about your journey. So we talked about the Zumba, and you doing the goals you've already achieved, like being the youngest Zumba instructor in Puerto Rico. What is your aspiration to be? What's your final goal in life? Like, what's your career dream?
When I'm thinking about go, I'm thinking about continue growing. I think it sounds, like okay, like makes sense. Of
Yeah,
course, you
yeah,
want to
yeah,
continue
yeah.
growing.
No, but it makes sense. I mean, it's yeah. Continue.
Yeah, but
I understand what you're trying to say.
yeah,
I
in
think we all
Spanish
do.
in Spanish could be more sense. But I'm thinking about being out of my comfort zone. But in this process that I'm getting to know myself, it has been a sometimes a strong transition. Being in Zumba, loving the culture, the community, and then moving to journalism part that is different, but at the
Hmm.
same time trying to carry on my personality, the person who I am, because I shouldn't let anyone to change who I am. So between this process of growing, I always try to carry on that because I sometimes, as you know, the industry
Yeah.
told you what things you should change about yourself, and that
Yes.
happened. What do you think?
Yes. I think in general the industry also like a lot of
Of
industries
course,
well, especially the media industry, you always have to have this certain way you have to look, or in the physical aspect, or things you should say, or how you should express yourself the correct way. That's in my experience. Like, oh, you need to be skinnier, or you need to be a certain way, or act a certain way. So I have encountered those type of things. So I kind of know the line where you're going.
yeah. So, but the thing that I will love to continue doing is growing in journalism.
Mm.
I would love, to start with where I need to start as a young professional. But I would love to in the future see,
Move
um,
up.
yes, being an anchor, doing bilingual journalism in Spanish and English.
Yes.
Also, I would love to continue pursuing a media executive role. I think young professionals should be in those roles because
Yeah.
we know where we come from, and also every heritage that we have could be Indian, Puerto Rican, Mexican, etc. So that's something that I would love to do, but I know that I need to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And that needs to be respected because I need to learn from the people who are doing it, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I'm growing. So I think that will be a career goal.
That's amazing. So basically, you want to learn from the professionals, but not lose sight of who you are and where you came from. Basically, you have emphasized a lot who I am. So, who is Wesley? When someone asks you that, more than your name, your degree, and your certificates, who is Wesley? What's your story?
um, I'm always trying. I'm always trying to be transparent, and I think you have seen that in the process. You could
Yes,
say me.
you're very transparent.
Yeah, you could hear me or see me doing crazy things, and then for a moment I'm so professional. I'm wearing
Yes,
this.
you vary a lot. Sometimes we're like, are you okay?
Yes. So I think something that I really try to do to represent myself is being transparent as a
Yeah.
person, as a friend, as a colleague. So that's really something that represent me as a person. Also trying to be charismatic, to lift people up,
Yeah.
to be conscious of the people who are around me. For example, we could be in media, I could be a journalism, but we have a photographer, we have a videographer, or we could be in a room. And sometimes we have a people back in the room and
Yeah.
we don't notice that person. So I think something that have carried on in the process is to be transparent, but to be conscious of my surroundings and the people.
Okay. So in that aspect of being transparent and always noticing the little guy in the back and
Because I was one of them.
yeah, I was gonna go there. Like, what experience, what what did you have to experience in order to be more conscious of that? Because sometimes we are made conscious of something when we live it.
Yeah, and that's when some quotes say, "Okay, life put you in that position so you can
Yeah.
learn." But I'm always being short from how do you say stature? Stature?
Yeah, you have been short in
Yes,
stature. Yes.
yes. And so when I was in elementary, I was short than expected. So I always had
Okay.
bullying, and that kind of stuff. So I know what it feels to be hostigado.
Mistreated and
Yes,
stalked.
yes. For who you are, and you cannot change that. But also of my start of the things that I like, of the people I love, and the
Mm-hmm.
way I love. So those things as a kid, because we are a kid, we don't know everything. And
Mm.
sometimes we don't choose the people who that we are gonna
Yeah.
be in the future. And other kids don't understand that. So that's why I'm always sensible when I'm doing an activity, could be a Zumba or any place that I'm surrounded with kids, because we need to be conscious of how do they interact with each other,
Yeah.
and they need to learn how to respect each other. So that's why I'm always trying to be conscious of the people, and how do they feel, because elementary, high school, and everything of my school, it was a little bit hard, but made me stronger. And then Zumba came when I was in 11th grade, I think
Okay.
junior or something like that. What do you
Yeah,
think?
you were a junior, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
in high school. So Zumba came in that moment, and that bring me a lot of confidence of who I am, being humble and advocating for people. So that's really something that I get passionate. I could be educated, but if you know,
Have you ever
if
encountered one of those experiences while in college? Because sometimes in college, I know your experiences in elementary is always like kids can be mean, and what you just said, like parents sometimes need to educate their kids more to love and respect others in a empathetic way. That's something that I think every generation has encountered. So more on the struggles you have had. What are those more recent to you in that line of like when did you become more secure of who you are that when someone try to change that or trying to criticize that, you're like, no, I'm Wesley Perez.
See, I love that
Oh,
accent.
thank you.
um,
I'm changing the question
yes,
because like I want to emphasize on what I would like to know in
yeah,
your story.
yes. Um, so, oh my God, for example, after Zumba, that I finished Zumba, well, in 11th grade, senior year of high school, I was Wesley, the Zumba instructor.
Okay.
You know that we get some
Yeah.
experiences, and then people say, "Oh, you are
They tie together the
yes,
title with your
you are
name.
Ari from Puerto Rico." So that happened to everybody.
Yeah.
So that gave me the opportunity to build, to continue building my identity. So while I was doing that, you know, I was proud of how I was serving, and that and people start and continue in some kind of way to respect me as I am, because you know, so I think that was something that some experiences
Yeah.
give you the opportunity to build your identity, and you have the power to choose if that is your identity or not. So I think that really helped me. So then when I went to um, university in
Yeah.
Puerto Rico, I was more secure about my person and speak it in public or doing presentations in the school, you know, because we know when we are a freshman that could be a little scary.
Yes.
For us, I think so, and for me, because I know this is your second major, so that's awesome.
Yes.
In my case, it was the first one from in 2020
Mm-hmm.
that we have COVID, the pandemic, etc. So it
Yeah.
was from my home. So I think that helped me to build my identity, and in the process, Well, there's a lot, but let's continue with your life.
So there's a lot of things regarding Wesley. You know, there's not just the Zumba instructor, the aspiring news anchor. There's also a lot of things regarding Wesley. What's something else you can share
Hmm.
that you want to share?
Yes, I'm thinking about my friends and family. So, I could be doing Zumba or doing journalism, but with my friends and family, I could be a different person in a good way. I'm more open to them, not because just I know them, but because they let me be who I am. So I'm being a friend, being a son, being a grandson, I think that's something that define me as I am.
Mm.
And also something thinking about that, and thank you for the question. More than work or Zumba or journalism
Yeah.
or here in the college,
Yeah.
I build a relationship with that person, and that really helped me a lot. I don't see, or I try to see more than, hey, she's my colleague from the work or the
Yeah.
school. So that's something that really changed my environment, and that really changed the perception of who I am. So building that relationship with, I think that's friendship.
Yeah, and obviously I'm speaking out of that I've known you for a couple of weeks now. I have encountered people that you have encountered previously, and they all say the same thing. Oh, I love Wesley, like his energy. He's so welcoming. He's so like wholesome, and with that aspect. So I was really excited to have you here to listen to your story. Like, the why are you like this? Like, why are you so happy or try to be like so welcoming to others constantly, even when you're down? You're just like, no, just go up, you know.
Thank you,
So
Love. Thank you for having me. I was really so excited when you think about me. I was like, yes, let's do this.
I was very excited to have you because I think I would love to have you here again because I think there's more to your story that I want to share. Um, so let's see when we can do that. But closing up this episode, what's something you would like to share with people for so they can be more empathetic with others and trying to be more humble, and what's something you just can share?
Yes, I always invite people to remember where they came from. And where we came from, we have different emotions about that. But
Yeah.
own it. Own it. It's hurtful, it's happy, but own it because it teach you something.
Mm.
Or it could teach you the person you do not want to be. So the person that I am today is because I had some experiences as you, Ari, and as
Yeah.
everyone. So I invite anyone to remember where you came from and build the energy that you need to build to continue moving forward.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that identify me as a person. I always invite my family and my friends to do the same. So I think that's something that resonated.
That is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing with me today, sharing your story. It made me feel so warm inside and so amazing. I just love learning a lot more from you as friends. And so thank you so much. So this concludes our second episode. Once again, thank you, Wesley, and see you guys the next time. If you joined us today, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs some little inspiration. We'll be back next week for another incredible story. Until then, keep listening, keep learning, keep embracing the stories that are all around us. Thanks for tuning in to My Story Podcast.